Hello, everybody, and welcome back to podcast Overclocked. IGN Overclocked? I don't know what we're calling this thing. Overclocked in general. This is our audio show or video show, depending on if you're watching on IGN.com. I am one of your hosts, Mitch Dyer. I am joined by three different dudes that were here last time.
Oh, no, I was here last time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you were. You were on the debut episode. What am I
But
talking
You're a
about?
different dude.
You're a
Dan.
different.
Yeah.
You've changed
I'm a
since
new
last
man.
week. Yeah.
You're not
You
the
went
dude I
through
once knew.
Some transitions, and here you are.
Yes.
Dan Stapleton, welcome back.
Hi there.
Joining me this week as well, Tal Blevins, the big boss.
Hi.
You got to get way closer to your mic,
I
Tal.
used to be an editor-in-chief
Like-
of IGN PC.
Even closer. You got real close.
Mitch, I feel like
There
I'm
you
a
go.
little too close to this mic
Yeah,
now.
you and that mic are gonna get real,
this is
real,
nice.
real nasty.
This is nice.
Tell us just brushing all sorts of
Yeah.
stuff.
I still want to say, too, I want to lobby for a rename of this podcast
Yeah.
to DOS Boot.
Oh,
man.
God.
Man.
Damn it, Tal.
Woo. Eric made this nice logo for us and everything already. Oh man, Vincent Janito, welcome.
Hi.
You just got back from Evo.
Yes, I did. I survived Vegas miraculously without getting the Ebola virus or the
Heyo.
Vegas cooties.
Evola is really good. I've never heard that.
Oh yeah,
That is magnificent.
every year.
So we have a bunch of topics this week on the show. We got all sorts of different stuff because we got new people here, got some new friends, got some good new topics. But something that's kind of overtaken the office is Rocket League. Have you guys been playing this yet?
Yes, I have.
I played Rocket League.
Dan?
I've played a little bit of
Okay,
Rocket
so we've
League.
all played Rocket League. That's good. So the thing, it's free on PlayStation Plus, which is
Yep.
great because if you like,
That's how I got it.
okay, awesome.
I was going to say, I haven't actually, to be fair, I haven't played on PC, but I
Well,
played on PlayStation.
That's-
It's cross-platform,
yeah.
though, so you probably played against some PC players.
I did not know that. That is
Yep.
awesome.
Mhm.
So it's funny because I played this game at GDC and thought it was super unremarkable. Like I had fun with it. It's just so if you don't know what Rocket League is, it is a competitive soccer game between it can be 1v1 or 4v4. It is competitive soccer in an arena where the players are cars.
Yep.
I think you can also do 3v3 and 2v2, and I
Yeah,
think
anywhere up
3v3
between.
is the default mode. Isn't
Yep.
it?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's the best.
So what it reminds me of in an old N64 Dreamcast game is
I
San
saw your
Francisco
notes.
Rush 2049.
Yeah,
Like, it
feels-
totally
absolutely.
reminds me of
It
2049.
feels just like it. Like the physics of the cars. Immediately, as soon as I hit the accelerator, I was like, "I'm playing Rush 2049, 100%."
Yeah, and I think it's that like that arcade sense, and the physics are just a little bit off, but they're convincing enough that it does feel really good. And what blows my mind about this game is it's free on PlayStation Plus. Obviously, they get a lot of downloads there. It's really popular on PlayStation Plus, but it's also weirdly popular on PC. I was looking at the concurrent players. Like I just jumped on to see like, how many people are playing this? What's the peak concurrence? And when I checked, there were more people playing Rocket League than were currently playing Grand Theft Auto 5.
That's crazy.
Which is insane. Like it's doing really well. It was like at almost 300,000 downloads last I saw, and it's like $15-20 bucks.
It's a lot of quick fun. I mean, that's really what
Yeah.
the game is. It's about quick action. You can pick it up pretty fast, but also like to really master it takes a lot of technique. So you really have to kind of play it for a while if you really want to get really super good at it. But
Yeah.
you can jump in and just have a lot of fun with your friends.
And I think that go
I
ahead.
was gonna say I was tragically bad at it for like the first 5 matches.
Oh,
I
yeah,
played,
yeah,
like
of course.
horrible. I was like, wow, I'm never getting good at this game.
Well, I mean, one of the good things about it is the AI is actually respectably good.
Yeah.
Like if you start with
Abusive on
yeah.
higher levels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you start with the beginner AI, and it's like, okay, I figured this out. Then you go up to the middle range is called pro, and that one actually puts up a decent fight
Yeah.
for somebody who's just learning.
Yep.
It just is so bizarre to me that this game is as popular as it is for this like throwaway thing that by all means should be a mini game in something bigger, right? Like, oh, it's car soccer, it's funny, it's silly, but there is substance there, and it really does come down to that.
I
like,
think if they would have called it
mastery.
car soccer, it might have been even more popular.
The best thing I saw was sock car.
Yeah.
Sock car.
But the other thing is because of how, and I hate to say this, but like because of how few people in our country like immediately a lot of people look at soccer. Nope, I don't care about that.
Exactly.
You know,
And
like
that was me,
Okay,
like, I don't-
car football then.
right, exactly. You have to call it car football or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, and what's really cool about it, one of the things I love about it, I think one of the reasons why
Fold them.
it's why it's taken over so much is because you really do have to learn kind of basic soccer fundamentals in order to play the game effectively. Like you can't constantly flail at the ball and just
No.
aggressively be like, I go there. You have to think about like hanging back at midfield. You have to, putting in like lead through passes into like, across the goal for your teammates to come
And
and
that's
get.
when it feels the best, right? Like if somebody kicks it off, like and just drives right at the ball, knocks it off the wall, and it comes sailing back toward you, and you do like a backward flip bicycle
Yeah.
kick thing,
Yeah.
and it goes in. It's like that was incredible in the same way a soccer goal is
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
to think that's how Pele drives in Brazil.
Yeah.
You just see him driving down the road
Yeah.
like that.
just
I think
jumping and spinning and for no reason.
I think it's just a great example of a game that has very simple mechanics and rules in a lot of ways, but it just leaves a lot of room for interpretation and technique.
Sure.
There's just a lot you can do in this wide open field. To do things that are unexpected.
Yeah, and as simple as it is, like it does really take a lot of finesse. And like you're saying, like after you play it a few times, you definitely get progressively better really quickly. But you got to play it a lot to get really good. I mean, there's a lot of little ways that you can trick your car and get it to get that perfect little tip shots and everything.
Hitting the ball in the air it takes some practice.
It takes a lot of practice.
Yep. Especially if you want to do it the right way.
But I think one of the most remarkable things about it is that it's a multiplayer, almost multiplayer-only game that survived massive server problems for a week and is still hugely popular. Like that, like when a server just totally craps the bed out of the gate.
It's like a death sentence.
That's death sentence.
I'm mixing my metaphors all over the place, but like, usually like that can really just kill the momentum of a really fun little multiplayer game.
Even a big game, even a big game that'll kill.
Yep.
So it's amazing that a small one didn't die to that.
Yeah. But I guess it was just crushed by demand of people pounding the servers.
And honestly, too, there's not a whole lot out right now, to really
it is
keep
that nice,
people out of interest. So it's a good time for this to come out. Yeah.
Period right now.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of when Nidhogg came out last year, right? Like it
Yeah.
filled a little gap, but that was a lot of fun. Really, again, simple game, multiplayer game, but it was a lot of fun.
And the commonality between those two is they are both extremely focused on their hyper-competitive elements, and that's it. That is the game. It is here, there's two goals, and it's soccer and your cars, and there's turbo, and the kind of stuff you do in between makes it interesting. Like the way you drive your car and the way your team interacts with each other. Like the cars are all essentially identical, but when I play with just Tal versus, now Vince is in the mix. Vince plays in a very specific way, or Dan is going to come and he's going to be like the enforcer. Like Dan's job is I'm going to collect all the turbo and I'm just going to kill everyone. So I bring someone out of the game for a few seconds, and that lets us get a brick away. And that kind of stuff really makes it interesting. That said, it is such a simple game. Like it is focused in a really great way, but it's also a victim of the same problem I think that Star Wars Battlefront is falling into, which is there's not enough content. Like a game like that is getting criticized, whereas Rocket League is taking off.
Well, it's $20 versus $60 for one thing.
That's true too. Yeah, and I wonder like what is I don't know. People want more modes already too.
Right. I mean, it's interesting because I mean things like esport heavy games. How many modes are there in Dota? How many modes are there in in a fighting game like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or anything like that? Like when you have these very pure competitive games, like modes they're important to some people who want variety, but some people who just want to get good.
Yep.
Like those people just get laser focused on just improving their technique and throwing different techniques at people that they haven't seen before.
But there's something to be said too, right? They obviously hit a good formula. If they would have started to add more modes, would they have lost that formula? It would have been just a mess and chaos, right?
Yeah,
like, would have not been any fun
Well, that's
anymore.
why you see stuff like Dota and League of Legends have seasonal events that are temporary. They happen, you play them, and then they're gone forever, and you never play them again. I mean, that's changing now. Like Dota 2 has custom game modes, and I wonder if there's a place for stuff like that, like a weird one-off event in Rocket League where it's like, oh, we made the ground ice and now it's just hockey.
like Rocket League's McRib is what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean,
McDonald's did it too. They share a lot of things in common.
They do risk, if you have a bunch of different stratified modes, you risk dividing your community up between a bunch of different things, and then you make it hard to find a game, or you don't have that big group of people all playing the same thing.
Yeah,
having
because
that common thing.
This imbalance of we have a separate queue for the new game mode, but not as many people are playing it because it gets in the way of actually getting better or playing the actual competitive game that we have.
Right.
So it's a double-edged sword, and in this
absolutely.
case, it does seem to be really working out for them. But I guess the question is there a long-term future for Rocket League?
That's going to be an interesting thing.
Because
lots of hats.
Yeah. Because Brandon Tyrell, our reviewer on it, like one of the things he criticized it for, I think rightfully, is that there is no real sense of progression. In a Dota or something like that, you've got that progression in the metagame where you progress.
Your understanding of the game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
and how it
you
changes
also,
over time.
But you also unlock new stat boosts and things like that as you go, right?
Well,
No.
no,
Not in Dota.
In
League, of
League,
Legends.
you get like runes and various spells that you can. Yeah.
Right. So I mean,
But there is that, yes.
Yeah, in a lot of games they have that just to kind of give people something to strive for, some achievements basically. But they do boost your abilities in some way, and some of them can slightly change the way you play. Whereas this one, every game is going to be the same because it's such a level playing field. And they've
Not
already,
the walls, Dan. not the walls.
But they've already said, like, we're not going to, change the performance of one car over another because it's all, like, even though cars look different, they all perform exactly the same.
Yeah.
Right, because you want to have balance in the game, right?
And it's the simplest form of balance, though, right? It's not
everything the same.
Right, exactly.
Right.
It is a perfectly level playing field, and you look at something like StarCraft, right, where it's a level playing field, but because the sides are completely different, but they've meticulously balanced it so that no one side is more powerful than the others.
Theoretically,
right?
Yeah.
As opposed to just having just one faction fighting against each other like RTSs used to be before StarCraft came
Or
along,
competitive StarCraft.
Blue
is
Marines
right
and
now.
Red Marines.
or before Command and Conquer, I guess.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting about it too, like, we ask how did it survive, and versus the expectations for something like Battlefront. I think also what you got to think about is that, something like Battlefront is part of a genre and subgenre that has a history, right? There's all these kinds of competitive shooters like Battlefront, from which people draw their expectations. It should have this many modes. It should have this many guns. What's the last game like Rocket League anyone played for someone to even have the expectation, well, this game ought to have this many cars and this many different modes?
And
that doesn't really exist.
Arguably, FIFA is that game, right? And FIFA has RPG elements to it, and everyone has different stats.
It's kind of that's true for the individual players, but for like sports games, for the most part, there aren't that many modes because it is a sports game, right? It's something you have set rules for whatever the sport is. So I get that, but I also hear you, like being able to add extra things, like maybe having weapons down the road, or maybe having mines, maybe making it a little bit more interesting in certain ways. Maybe have glider wings where maybe you can fly.
Really
in,
make it
right?
Rush 2049.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, I think like long term they will need to do something to mix it up and get people reinvested in it. People who aren't necessarily the hardcore guys who just want to hone their technique and be the best at this. I think people want to come back for the novelty after a while.
It's a cute, charming,
Absolutely.
fun game right now.
Yeah. Somebody was asking me, like, do you think this has a future as a competitive game? And as great as it is, I really don't think it does.
No.
I think this is one of those flash in the pan, like, this is awesome. It's succeeding right now. It's huge. It's blowing up. But it's going to be very, very small.
I agree.
And
the grand scheme of
there's honestly nothing wrong with that.
No.
They'll make money off of it, and people who spent money or got it for free will feel like they got their money's worth out of it. Everyone wins. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and it's one of those games that at the end of the year, everyone's going to be doing Game of the Year deliberation, going like, oh, man, like, this was, like, arguably the best sports game of the year. Like, maybe this will beat FIFA this year.
Well, and maybe they're setting it up, too, for maybe they do have plans to do something even bigger, right, down the road. And they do want to expand on it, and maybe this is a good base for them because they've been really successful
or maybe they didn't,
early on.
and now they can.
Yeah.
Well,
It's so
initially they said they had aggressive DLC plans, but they've kind of backed away from that.
big. Yeah, well, good call.
Right.
Don't ever say that.
Don't ever say those
Don't
words.
ever say you have an aggressive DLC plan.
Yeah, before the game is out.
Yeah.
It does kind of make sense though for a game that you're giving away on PS Plus. It's like that's how you're going to make money off of it. You got a big install base out there, but on the PC side where you're charging $20 for it, it's a little off-putting.